This is pre-algebra lesson 5-4, multiplying and dividing fractions. A reciprocal are two numbers with the product of 1. For example, if I have 3/5, the reciprocal of 3/5 would be 5 over 3, because if we multiply those together, we would get 15 over 15, which equals 1. So let's review something. Let's change each mixed number into an improper fraction. Remember, we go around the circle, multiply, add, put it over the same fraction. So 3 times 2 plus 1 all over 3. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 plus 1 is 7, so this is 7/3. 3 and 3/10, 10 times 3 is 30, plus 3 is 33, so 33/10. 9 times 1 is 9, 9 plus 4 is 13, so 13/9. 7 and 7/8, 8 times 7 is 56. 56 plus 7 is 63, so this is 63 over 8. That's just a review, because when we deal with multiplying and dividing fractions, we may need to change our improper fractions, our mixed numbers into improper fractions before we can do anything. To multiply fractions, you first multiply the numerators, then you multiply the denominators, and you simplify. So I tell people, multiply straight across the top, multiply straight across the bottom, simplify. So 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12, 6 12 reduces by 6, so 6 goes into itself once, and it goes into 12 twice, so it becomes 1/2. 7 times 4/5, 3 times 4 is 12, 7 times 5 is 35. I do not believe anything can cancel, so it's just 12/35. 7/8 times 5/9. Multiply straight across the top. 7 times 5 is 35. 8 times 9 is 72. And 35 70-seconds does not reduce, so you're done at that point in time. Now, a nice little shortcut to multiplying straight across the top, multiplying straight across the bottom, is when a numerator and a denominator have common factors, you can simplify before you multiply, thus making your multiplication easier and your simplification much easier. For example, 5 over w times 3w over 17. Both of those have w's in common. Now you can cancel out the w's because we're multiplying. You cannot do this with addition and subtraction, but you can do this with multiplication. So this w on top can be canceled with this w on the bottom. Remember when we simplified fractions earlier in chapter 4, when we simplified like 17a to the 5th b over 3a to the 3rd b squared? We did the same thing. It was a division problem or a multiplication problem. So the w's can cancel, and then I'm left with 5 times 3 on top, which is 15, and 17 times 1 on the bottom, which is 17. You can do it with numbers. You can do it with variables. For instance, negative 5/15 and 21/25. I know 5 will go into itself 1 time, and will go into 25 5 times. I also know 3 will go into 15 5 times, and 3 will go into 21 7 times. Notice how I do this neatly so I can see the number underneath. Don't obliterate it so that you can't see what you had underneath your fractions if you did it right. Now I can just multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. Negative 1 times 7 is negative 7, and 5 times 5 is 25. I get negative 7/25. And it's already reduced for me. That's the glory of doing it this way. Now, when you have mixed numbers, before you can multiply, you have to change these into improper fractions. That's why we practiced that earlier in the lesson. So I need to change 3 and 3/4 into an improper fraction first. So 3 and 3/4, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. So 15/4 times 2/5. And now we see if we can cross cancel anything. 2 goes into itself once, it goes into 4 twice. 5 goes into itself once, it goes into 15 3 times. Now I can multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. 3 times 1 is 3, 2 times 1 is 2. And I can simplify this. 3 halves becomes 1 and 1/2. Number 4, negative 2 and 5/6 times 1 and 3/5. Both of these happen to be mixed numbers, so I have to change them both into improper fractions first. 6 times 2 is 12, 12 plus 5 is 17, so this becomes negative 17/6, and we're going to multiply this by 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8, 8/5. I can look at this and say, 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. Those are the only things that seems like I can cross cancel. So now I will just multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. Negative 17 times 4 is negative, 28, 68, over 5 times 3, which is 15. I have an improper fraction, and I now need to change that back to a mixed number. 15 will go into negative 68. I know that 15 times 4 is 60. So it will go in negative 4 times with 8 15ths left over. So negative 4 and 8 15ths. Remember, if you have to, do it this way. 15 will go into 64. 68 4 times 15 times 4 is 60. So you have 4 and 8 15ths. Now, let's take a look at something. What is 6 divided by 2? 6 divided by 2, that's 3. What is 6 times 1/2? Well, 6 over 1 and 1 over 2. It goes into plus, it goes into, oh, look, it's 3. Okay, so this one's 3, this one was 3. What is 12 divided by 4? Also 3. What is 12 times 1/4? Or 1/4 of 12? Okay, look, it's 3 as well. So, when you're dividing, you're actually just multiplying by the reciprocal. So to divide a fraction, you simply multiply by the reciprocal. And here's a piece of advice. Don't try to do too much in your head at once, because things will get messed up and you'll have very interesting looking answers. So, to divide a fraction, you keep the first fraction, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and you change the second fraction. Think keep, change, just like we do with subtraction of negative numbers. Keep, change, the same thing with division. Keep, change. Keep the first fraction, change the division sign to a multiplication sign, and change the second fraction to its reciprocal. So you have that. So you now have 3/5 times 10/7. Now we multiply like normal, just like we were doing just a few minutes ago. 5 goes into itself once, and it goes into 10 twice. So this becomes 6/7. 27 over 8 cubed divided by 9 over 4 cubed. Keep the first fraction, 27 over 8 cubed. Change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Flip the second fraction, so we change the second fraction. Now we reduce if we can, cross cancel if we can. The cubes cancel out. 4 goes into itself once, it goes into 8 twice. 9 goes into itself once, it goes into 27 3 times. Multiply straight across the top, we get 3. Straight across the bottom, we get 2. And 3 over 2 reduces back to 1 and 1/2. So the answer to that fraction is 1 and 1/2. Number 3, before we can even think about dividing and or multiplying by the reciprocal, we have to change both of these into improper fractions. Please do that before you try to do the keep, change. Because if you try to change it as you're multiplying, something is going to get messed up. I've seen it happen way too many times. I've been teaching a lot longer than you've been alive. So pretty much, I know what's going to happen. So 4.5, if I change that to an improper fraction, that becomes 9/2. Divided by, notice I kept it in its same form. 8 times 3 is 24. 24 plus 3 is 27, so negative 27/8. So keep it in its original form. Now do keep, change. So 9/2 times negative 8/27. So it doesn't matter where your negative sign comes. I have a tendency to put it up top because I like it there. Okay, 2 goes into itself once, it goes into 8 4 times, don't forget your negative. 9 goes into itself once, it goes into 27 3 times. So we end up with negative 4/3, which is negative 1 and 1/3. The more you work with fractions, the better you will get at them. So the more you practice, the better you get. And please, practice it step by step. Don't try to do the whole thing at once. We talked about this. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. How do you work through more complex math problems? One step at a time. So 5a divided by 8, and 5a over 8 divided by 2/3. No fractions we need to change into improper fractions, so I can just keep my first fraction, change my division sign and multiplication sign, and change my second fraction to 3 over 2. Oh, look, by changing it to 3 over 2, nothing cross-cancel. That's kind of a bummer, but oh well, happens. 5a times 3, 15a. 8 times 2, 16. Nothing else reduces, so I have 15a over 6. Number 5, I'm going to change both of these to improper fractions first. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8, so negative 8 fifths. Divided by 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, 6 fifths. So keep my first fraction, negative 8 fifths. Multiply by the reverse of the second one, multiply by the reciprocal. So keep, change, change. Change the division to multiplication, change 6 fifths to 5 sixths. I can cross cancel here. 5 goes into itself once, it goes into this 5 one time. 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So I end up with negative 4 times 1 is negative 4. 3 times 1 is 3. So I end up with negative 1 and 1/3. And finally, the last problem. 12 and a half divided by 1 2/3. Change them both into improper fractions. 12 times 2 is 24. This is 25 halves. Divided by 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, 5/3. So 25 halves times 3 over 5. Don't try to go from here directly to here. That's a no-no, because when you do that, you're going to mess something up. You may get it right 50% of the time, but if you get wrong 50% of the time, there's terrible odds. And now I can cross cancel. 5 goes into itself once, goes into 25 5 times. 5 times 3 is 15, 2 times 1 is 2. 2 goes into 15 7 times, 7 times 2 is 14 with a remainder of 1, so it's 7 and 1/2. And that's multiplying and dividing fractions. Not difficult. It's actually much easier than adding and subtracting because you never have to find a common denominator.